All right, you guys. It is day 16 of the bulk now. I don't know what I did. Yesterday's workout or routine or whatever, like totally hurt my tendon again. So I'm gonna start this off by saying I have made the executive decision to just probably not hit upper body for like 2 weeks and then slowly ease back into it, because it's just not going away. It's been like 5 or 6 weeks and this tendon problem is still here. So for the time being, until it heals and until we can actually get back to training normally, we're gonna have to spend these next couple weeks just chilling, just hitting legs, which sucks, but it allows us to shift our focus to a weak point, and where a lot of people miss out on is leg training. Now, I feel like my legs are good, but for a specific reason. So before we dive into the meat of potatoes, I weighed in 196 this morning, 196. Eating roughly between 3,000 to 3,300 calories per day. And today is day 16 of the bulk, I believe. And today we're going to be talking about the importance of squatting. So no lift today. The only lifts you'll probably see, I think, for the next couple of videos, or who knows, it's just going to be leg training or informational videos, because actual lifting is really setting me backwards and I'm not making any progress on this injury, which I've been dealing with it for a month and a half. So, but that's besides the point. Today we're going to talk about the importance of squatting. Now, I don't know what your experience for squatting is, whether you were squatting in like your football high school locker room, or not locker room, like your weight room, or you just start squatting because it's just a basic exercise, like you were doing body weight squats, or you were doing like team training because you were part of some athletic group at your high school or middle school or college. The squat is a very, very overlooked movement for developing your lower body. I think if done correctly and done in moderation, it is probably the best exercise you're going to do for your whole lower half of the body. Now, in a bodybuilding context, squats are not tried and true the best, and they're not the absolute king. But I would say for just being athletic and putting on mass in your lower body and building strength per pound, like strength pound for pound, the squat is probably the best movement. And I mean that because no matter how strong you are on a leg press or a leg extension or some like squat machine, that will not translate to your squat like on a barbell. But however strong you are squat on a barbell, that is pretty well likely to translate to any other lift that involves your lower body. Squatting is very beneficial, but also very dangerous. There's many drawbacks, many potential good things, but also potential negative. There's pros and cons to the movement. Now, if your legs are a weak point, I am mandating that you squat. And I'm not great at the squat. I used to be horrendous. I used to squat, I won't say specific numbers, but I squat a lot more weight now. And I'm just going to stress the importance of every now and then squatting to failure. Now, if you're trying to get stronger on the squat, you need to train it smarter. You need to train 3x3s or heavy singles and train more like a power lifter. Maybe do 5x5s, 5 sets of 5. And kind of stay at RPE 7 or 8, so you get close to failure but not too close. And then if you're just trying to put on as much mass on your legs as possible, I would just do like 2 or 3 sets of squats to failure. And then do some leg extensions, some leg work after that. And then that's it. If you're squatting and you're actually squatting hard, you don't need to do all this random stuff that people be promoting, like Bulgarians, all different types of leg presses or squat machine. If you barbell squat and you squat to failure, that's the meat and the potatoes of leg training. If Tom Platt said it the best, if you could squat, you could do anything. If you could take a set of squats to failure, you have the bravery to dang near do anything. So let me just walk you through an ideal leg day, just so you could take it and try it for yourself if you're trying to get bigger legs. So walk into the gym. This is exactly what I do, by the way. I'll warm up on the adductor and abductor machine, just kind of work up all the way to the stack and then do the stack for as many reps as I can, but not to failure. No, I'm not totally exhausting myself here. Then I'll go to a leg extension or leg press, depending on what's open, or leg extension or a lying leg curl or a seated leg curl, depending on what's open and how I'm feeling. And then I will do 1 to 2 warm-up sets and then kind of do like a working set, 1 to 2, but nowhere near to failure. Just getting blood into the muscle, getting my CNS primed for the movement. I'm thinking, but you can pretty much just do 3 to 4 warm-up sets, either on the leg extension or the lying leg curl or the leg extension and the seated leg curl. So 1 hamstring movement, 1 quad movement. And if your calves get hurt, you can do like some calf raises. Just warm up the muscles that are going to be used for the squat. So the abductors, adductors, quads, hamstrings, calves, etc. So then after you do that, go to the squat rack and then warm up with the bar and, warm up to the weight that you're going to do for your working set. But this is the crucial part that I just started implementing that has really helped. When you're doing your warm-up weight and you are, let's say you're trying to get a stronger squat, this is super important. On those warm-up sets where the weight is relatively light, you need to like come down and like load, feel like you're loading a spring, and then shoot up as fast as you can. Now, obviously, when you're doing your weight that you're doing for a top set, you're not going to be able to shoot up. Like, it's going to be heavy. But if you can just do that in your warm-up sets, when you get to your top set or a heavy single, or, if you're doing powerlifting, your CNS is going to be more primed for the movement. Now, if you're training for more of a bodybuilding context, you're just trying to put mass on the legs. On metrics, like for numbers, you're going to do better. You're going to squat this better. You're going to seem like you're getting stronger. But for mass benefits, I don't know if that really is going to do anything for you. I would just implement it because why would you not? Just make sure you warm up good. And then let's say your squat max is like, let's say it's 315. Like that is your max. What I would do if you were a bodybuilder and you're just trying to get bigger legs overall, go through that whole warm up process, and then once you get to the squat rack, do the bar for like 8 reps, put on a plate, do it for like 6 or 7, do 185, plate and a half for like 5 or 4, and then do 2 plates for like 3 or 4, and then do like 275 for like 1 or 2, and then if 315 is your max, 275 is probably gonna be your working weight. So I would probably do 275 for 1 rep just to get your body used to it, and then be like, okay, yeah, this is probably the weight. Maybe 265, if 315 is your max, you might use 265, or you could use 250. 275 might be too much now that I think about it. But I'd say 250 is a good number to use. So put 250 on. I wouldn't do 225. That's a little too light if your max is 315. So put on 250 between 260, put on that weight. And then, I would still do like 260. I would still do that weight that you pick for 1 rep just to get your central nervous system ready to go. And then after that, make sure you have that same weight, or take off if it's too heavy, and then get under that bar and squat until you can't. Make sure you have the safeties up to an appropriate height. Do that for 1 to 2 sets, and I guarantee your legs will get bigger. And then after you do 1 to 2 sets of failure, you'll obviously re-rack the weight, put the weight back on. These are 1 to 2 sets to where you just can't get up anymore. Like, you can have somebody helping you, but you should be able to do this by yourself. Like, even though you're going to failure, if you have the safeties up, like, you do not need someone to spot you. So then after you do these 1 to 2 sets of failure, then I would go do back to the hamstring or back to the leg extension, depending on what felt good. You don't have to hit 1 quad movement and then 1 hamstring movement after the squatting, but that's most ideal. And I would just do 1 to 2 sets to failure, and then maybe hit your calves after those 2 movements, and then leave. I know it seems relatively short, and honestly, you don't even have to hit calves if you don't want to, but it's probably most ideal. Because when you're squatting to failure like that, it is so taxing on your lower body, you have no idea. So that's just a whole walkthrough of my leg day. I know I just post clips of me squatting, but there's a lot of warm-up and preparation that goes into it. And I used to have very small legs, and not only very small legs, just like not very developed legs. And squatting and leg extensions, but squatting primarily, is the one movement that I advocate for the most, even though it's like pretty, it's a kind of dangerous movement, and it's you're pretty, what's the word? The potential for injury is very high, but the risk for benefits is also higher. So that's my spill for today. I could sit here and like talk about studies about how the squat is the most hypertrophic movement for natural lifters, blah, blah, blah. But I'm just going to sit here and tell you to take my word for it. There's no movement that's going to just totally wreck your hamstrings and quads and build your glutes very well, depending on how you squat. Some people squat and they come forward a lot. I would try not to do that because you're hurting your lower back and you're getting a lot of glute activation. If you try to stay upright and squat more upright, you'll have to lower the weight, but you're going to hit your quads a lot more, and that's kind of what we're trying to do. So that's just the real spill on leg day. Sorry guys, there's no training, like new footage of this, but yeah, pray for my pec, or my tendon, I guess. So I'm out of here. Day 15, day 16, the bulk is going super well. Eating has never been a problem for me, so I'm out.